Hello book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today I am here to start a new reading vlog. So I feel like it's been quite a while since I did a reading vlog. I think the last one I did was the last round of Squash That series, which was in early September, and that only lasted for about a weekend. So it's definitely been a while since I've vlogged over a longer period of time, but the theme of this vlog is going to be motherhood, but make it horror. I have two books that I will be reading. I have Sundial by Katrina Ward and The Push by Ashley Audrin. I believe I mentioned that I was going to be doing a vlog for these two in my TBR, and I'm very excited that I'm finally getting to this because I've been wanting to do this for quite a while, and October is definitely the perfect time to do this. I'm going to be starting off with Sundial. I have to admit I'm choosing this one first because I feel that I may possibly like The Push more, and that is honestly purely based off of the fact that I have heard more about The Push, and pretty much everything that I've heard about The Push is positive. So I haven't heard really anything about this book. I mean, I'm still thinking it's going to be a good time. The synopsis definitely intrigues me, but I want to go ahead and read the book that I think might be a slightly lower rating, and then the book that I am hoping I will love as much as everyone else. So in Sundial, we are following from the point of view of both the mother and the daughter. We have our mother, Rob, and she is noticing that there is something strange going on with her daughter, Callie. Callie seems to be collecting bones as well as talking to imaginary friends, and Rob is concerned that a darkness from her family's past is what is causing these issues within her daughter. And so she decides that the two of them are going to go spend some time in the desert. Callie, on the other hand, is thinking that her mom is acting very strange. She's taking her into this desert, and she has a inkling that maybe only one of them will return. This book is relatively short. I did select this for one of my Spookopoly prompts, which was to read a book with 200 something pages. This is 292 pages. I am hoping that this vlog doesn't take too long to finish. My reading speed has been fluctuating greatly over the last month or so, but neither of these books are super long, and I'm hoping that the concept of them will keep me wanting to pick them up. But I do have a couple other things that I need to do this month, or not this month, this week, involving my YouTube and Instagram account, which will obviously take some time away from reading. But for now, I think I have probably about half an hour or so before I have to go to work. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this book. Minutes here, so I figured I would do a quick update. I am only 10 pages into this book. I did not have 30 minutes this morning to read. I ended up having like 10 minutes, and then I read over my 15-minute break a little bit, but I was editing over lunch. So not loving it. Now, they are obviously not at the desert yet. We're only 10 pages in. We're very much setting up the family dynamics. It's Rob, the mother, Callie, the daughter, and then there's the father and a younger sister as well. And unfortunately, the family dynamics are not good, and it has a trope that I don't enjoy in any genre of book. Instantly turns me off from the book. I don't want to read it. I don't want to deal with it kind of situation. And that is a cheating spouse. So that is unfortunately in this book. If that's a trope you don't like, avoid it, especially since it's one of those situations where we're at the point where like she knows, and I feel like he's not doing too much to cover it up. The marriage is pretty much over. It's done for, but no one is talking about it and addressing the issue. And I just find that to be a very frustrating thing to read about, and honestly boring to read about because I don't care about marriage, no offense. So far, that has been a big part of the story and is why I am currently not enjoying the book whatsoever. But we are only 10 pages in, and hopefully they start focusing more on the issues with the daughter. So far, she's been not a huge part of the story. And then, of course, once they go to the desert, they will be away from this toxic situation that I am hating every moment of. So those are my initial thoughts on the first 10 pages of this book. Not going so great. I think the writing is okay. Sometimes I feel like there were some weird time jumps so that I felt like the storyline didn't have a good flow to it, but it's too hard to really say my thoughts on the writing and the flow of the story after only 10 pages. So I will keep chugging along and will let you know my thoughts once I get a little further into the story. Guys, so it is Wednesday morning, a little after 7, and we are going to switch things up a little bit. So I didn't check in with you yesterday because I didn't have much to say. I am on page 60 something, I think like 66 of Sundial, and honestly I'm really struggling here with this book. It's one of those books where you feel the reading experience is very similar to like swimming upstream, where you feel like you're reading and you're reading and you're reading, but you're just like not making any progress in the book whatsoever. So I have put myself on hold for the audiobook. I am the next person in line, so I am hoping that by the time I finish my next book, this will be available, and maybe that'll help me through the story a little bit. At this point, they are now in the desert, but I still find that I am not very interested in anything that is happening in the story. I was complaining a little bit about the cheating aspect of the relationship. This relationship is also very toxic, very abusive. It's more psychological than physical, but it's definitely borderline physical. But I do honestly, I think that's the best part of the story so far, because I think it's really well written, and the one thing I kind of care about is what's going to happen to the husband. I kind of want him to be dead by the end of the book. So that's like the one reason that I really feel like I would move forward with the story, to see like what happens to him. But as far as anything else, it seems like Sundial is a homestead that Rob, the mother, grew up on, and the author keeps mentioning all these people that are now dead, as if to be like, aren't you interested to see like what happened and why everyone's dead and why she's running from her past? And I'm like, well, not really. For some reason, it's just not grabbing me. So we're gonna put it down for now, and hopefully the audiobook comes in and that will help with this book. So that does mean that I'm gonna go ahead and pick up The Push, which I will hopefully like a lot more. This of course has a similar theme to Sundial. We are dealing with a woman who was very excited to become a mother, but when her daughter was born, she just didn't feel any connection to that child. However, when she had her son, she instantly did have that connection, which is very similar to Sundial, because one of the reasons she had another daughter was because Callie, the older one, seemed to belong to her father, and she was struggling to love her daughter in a natural way without having to kind of force love upon her, kind of situation. And when she had her second daughter, she instantly loved her. So similar themes again in these books, but throughout this book it seems like things are escalating, and our narrator is noticing stranger and stranger things about her daughter, but obviously no one is believing her. It says, "The Push is an utterly immersive novel that will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood, what we owe our children, and what it feels like when women are not believed." So I'm excited to get into this. I'm still optimistic that this is a type of story, a trope that I will enjoy, and hopefully this is the book that will win me over. All right, so I have been reading The Push until it's time to go to work, which is going to be in like 5 minutes, but I just wanted to check in real quick. I read the first 16 pages, first 3 chapters. Luckily, these chapters are short, which I feel like always helps move the story forward, but instantly I was drawn into this story. The prologue definitely made it seem like there is going to be some bad stuff that's happening, and that our narrator is possibly not going to be coming out on top of this situation. It seems like this is written in third person, which isn't always my favorite perspective, but we seem to be reading the mother's story about what happened between her and her daughter and the rest of the family as well. I don't know what it is about the writing, if it's the flow, if it's the pacing, but it is incredibly addictive. It instantly drew me in. I'm very intrigued about where the story is going to go. Right now, the author is just going through how she met her husband. We've had some glimpses of her past. Her family isn't really in the picture, and it seems like her family is a bit of a mess. So it's just something that she is trying to put behind her. So definitely really glad that I went ahead and switched to books, because that one was definitely putting me in the direction of a slump. But this book, on the other hand, I'm very excited to continue picking up, and I will go ahead and check in with you once I've gotten a bit further into it. So it is a little after 7 on a Wednesday, so I'll probably get another couple hours or so of reading done, but I just wanted to check in. I am on page 65 of the push, so definitely making my way through this book at a much faster speed than Sundial, but there's just something about this book that makes it so addictive. Like, I can't wait to pick it up. I have to admit, there's not that much happening. It's like everything that's happening in the book is subtle, yet everything feels like it has a purpose, and that everything is gonna lead to worse and worse situations. It just gets you really excited for what is going to happen next. So I feel like the story just has a perfect flow to it. You are very much seeing the ups and the downs of motherhood. You have a woman who comes from a broken family. You have a mother who is the child of someone who didn't want to be a mother and probably shouldn't have been a mother, who was also the child of someone who shouldn't have been a mother. So you are almost dealing with the insecurities of someone who doesn't have a lot of experience of what motherhood should look like, and is purely basing it off of the other women around her who all seem to be doing great. And so you kind of feel like there's something wrong with you. And the husband, I mean, there was this one line where the baby would like cry all the time, and sometimes she would just put her headphones in and she would just ignore the baby. And one day the husband came home and found her doing this and told her that she needed to go to a doctor, and he said because he's worried about the baby. And like, there was something about just like that one scene where you clearly should be able to see that there's something wrong with your wife and that she's struggling, and for you to completely disregard her mental health and, you know, her well-being in general, and to be concerned just for the baby, which you should be concerned for the baby if mother's not doing well, but you have to care about both. She was talking about how she was like no longer an individual in her husband's eyes, but rather someone who was there to support the child, someone who was there to be the caregiver of the child. And her purpose there was to care for the child, and therefore her well-being was only important to the degree of how it affected the child. And I definitely think that as soon as someone becomes a mother, that is kind of all that they are. You know, motherhood is all they should be focusing on. The child is all that they should be focusing on. They should be changing things about themselves and their life to better complement the child's needs. So that is definitely being addressed. And I would say definitely that this book is following a very extreme version of postpartum depression. It might be taking postpartum depression and making it into a horror concept. She kind of talks about how she goes to the doctor and, you know, she's like, the doctor says I just don't have postpartum depression, so I say I don't have it. But she also talked about how she answered the questionnaire and everything she said she was lying about. It was almost like she was in denial, or that she wasn't even able to admit to the doctor that she had these symptoms, which may partially be due to the fact that the doctor, you know, at one point was talking about how wonderful, you know, childhood is, and, you know, oh yeah, if you're struggling, you know, everyone goes through that, and kind of like minimizing some of the struggles. And so obviously if a doctor says that, then the woman may feel like she's not able to express more concerns without coming across as a bad mother. Throughout the story, we are also getting flashbacks to when our main character was a child, her experience with her mother, who left when she was 11 years old. And we also get flashbacks to her mother with her mother. And you can see all of those relationships were definitely toxic. We are dealing with some mental health issues. We're dealing with kind of physical abuse of the children, and kind of how that trauma then translates into their behavior as mothers, and then again translates, as I kind of mentioned before, just that past trauma playing a role in the current generation. So I'm having a really great time with this. Very addictive. I really enjoy the writing, and am just gonna go ahead and jump back in. I might check in with you around the 50% mark. So there's just over 300 pages in here, so maybe around the 150 mark. So that'll be another 80 or so pages. All right, so it is a little bit past 9. And I have reached the 150 mark, so I should be a little over halfway done. I'm on page 155 specifically. I'm cruising, guys. I am cruising. I don't have too much more to say, except that this book is giving me some serious anxiety. We just read a chapter where, like, I could literally feel and hear my heartbeat. I was like, I had to keep taking deep breaths because I was like, oh my God, I'm having like a panic attack here. So it's very intense, and I'm pretty sure that this child is like a psychopath or a sociopath, and I'm just so interested to see how this ends. If other people, I mean, there's other people that clearly see the signs that there's possibly something wrong with her, usually other women, and we are coming across many situations where our mother is being ignored by men, so that's very frustrating. But yeah, just interested to see if it ends with people realizing that this child is not a good person, or if she kind of gets to walk off into the sunset and become a serial killer, or whatever she plans on doing with her life. So yeah, absolutely loving this book. I probably won't read too much more tonight. Gotta start getting ready for bed. I probably won't finish it tomorrow because I have to go to the gym tomorrow, but hopefully I finish it by Friday, maybe. I just want to show my art piece. It's not done yet because I'm still waiting for some responses, but I'm the person that does the birthday cards for my team. And since I telework, I just do like a PowerPoint. And Megan happens to be really into Disney, so this is what I've made. So very happy with that, and hopefully she is as well. All right, I feel like my cup is too high for this, but there's no cushion on the seat, so I'm a little lower than usual. Hey guys. But it is Thursday afternoon. I just got off work. I'm eating a peanut butter, honey, and banana bagel before I go to the gym. What I did, I usually put the honey on top, and then obviously I get it all over my fingers and everything, and I'm still getting the peanut butter all over my fingers. But by putting the honey on first under the peanut butter, at least now I don't have to worry about that dripping everywhere. But anyway, the reason I'm checking in with you is because I am ending this vlog. Yep. So I finished The Push and I'm giving it 5 stars. I did not want to put this book down. I feel like I should hold it on this side. Anyway, it was such an incredible read. I'm not a mother. I'm not a wife. I do not have a relationship with a child. There's no children in my life, but I was 100% invested in this mother's story. For like the second half of the book, there were so many times where I just wanted to cry. I felt like, I don't know if you ever get this, where you feel like a heaviness in your eyes and a heaviness in your chest, and your body's just like, just let me know if you're ready to cry, because honestly, we're on deck, we're ready. We can shed tears at any second now. It was such a heartbreaking story at times. When I was reading about this book, I was so often thinking about how I felt while I was reading The Death of Vivek Oji or Everything I Never Told You. This is definitely a book that is on par with those two great works of literary fiction for sure. Just the commentary on motherhood, and almost to a degree forced motherhood, either because you were denied the option of abortion or because you felt so pressured that that is the path a woman should want, that you chose that path despite always feeling that motherhood maybe wasn't for you. And just talking about kind of how maybe motherhood is just one of those things that you can't fake it till you make it. It's something that you really need to want, or it will never really work out for you. I really enjoyed watching the parallels between our main character, her mother, and her grandmother, how all of them at some point in their life really did try to be a good mother and it just didn't work out for them. I really enjoyed the grief representation that was in this book. I think it was really realistic. I liked how the author described the change of the relationship between the husband and wife, as his view of his wife changed from her being a wife, her being a person, her being a writer, to her being a mother, and her body almost being like a used vessel that's no longer as attractive to him. So this story probably has some really hard-hitting topics for people that are actually mothers, or maybe even people that are considering being mothers. I mean, we see a couple sides of parenthood. We see the side of a mother who is maybe going through some postpartum depression. We have a mother who is not being believed that there's something wrong with her child because the father is refusing to see the troubling signs that their daughter is presenting. He is very much in denial, and a lot of other people are in denial as well about this child. And because of that, I think both the people around the child and the child itself are not very happy. I also really enjoy the psychological thriller side of this. I think that Violet, the child, was an excellent, I don't want to call her a villain character, but she's definitely a little monster, and I think she was a very interesting and complex but disturbed character, and I really enjoyed reading about her and her mother's relationship. It was a very complex relationship that had its ups and downs throughout the entirety of her life. So excellent read. Absolutely loved the ending. There was a couple endings that I was like, this is how I wanted to end, and the ending that was presented wasn't quite that, but as soon as I read it, I was like, the author knows better. This is how this book should have ended, and it was honestly perfect. So 5 out of 5 stars for sure. We'll definitely be reading this author again. I think my camera might have shifted a little bit. You're on my water bottle. Anyway, so I am DNFing Sundial, as you can tell by the fact that I'm ending this video here. I just don't want to return to a book that I honestly feel I will give like a 2.5 after reading a 5-star book. It seems like a waste of time to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just DNF that book. Not interested in where it's going, haven't thought about it at all, and am perfectly fine just never knowing. That is okay. As I mentioned, Katrina Ward was definitely an author I wanted to check out because she has a few books I'm interested in. So luckily for my TBR game, I have a punishment prompt that is second chance author. So she's definitely an author to keep in mind for that. But for now, we're calling it quits. We're gonna DNF that book. I'm very happy with that decision, and I'm gonna end this vlog. As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.